Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. My name is Chris, and welcome back to my sports podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. So I got a little intro for you.
Nice.
For today's guest, we have a former FSU Seminole, class of 2019.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. And the current wide receiver coach for Toho High School, if that is still correct, Mike Barulich.
Yes. Hear all the applause.
But thank you for coming on.
Absolutely, man. I'm happy to be here.
I've told you multiple times, but sincerely, thank you because you are like my first guest outside of like my niche friend group to come
That's
on.
nice.
So
I'm glad to be here, man. That's awesome to hear.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I did a lot of research for this. I'm not gonna lie. I told you before we started, I did like 2 hours of research, looking things up on you, where you played, what you did, everything. So
I'm surprised there's that much online about it. That's awesome.
There is. So we're gonna start off first by talking about like a quick breakdown of like kind of where you played, how you started off, high school, college, and then to where you're at now. Very, very
Absolutely.
brief.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like a brief overview, man. I started playing ball in high school. Really, my first year of ball, I played for the Junior Lions right here. It was their first season. And it's like this Pee-wee team, 8th grade football. I was new to football. They put me at like defensive end.
Oh yes, sir.
And so I had no idea what was going on. But honestly, like I joined at the time. It's so funny. I joined because I liked one of the cheerleaders. Yeah, and literally that's why I joined that team. Like I told my mom I want to join the team because the cheerleaders or whatever. But when I went on into high school, I was a soccer player. I really enjoyed soccer, but I found the love for football a little bit growing. I love the camaraderie of the game, and just fell in love with that piece of the game. And so when I went to high school, it was just hey, like I'm a football player and a soccer player. You know what I mean? But I was more focused on soccer at the time. And then as my high school career progressed, I transitioned to just football. And then, like I said, brief overview, when I went to college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to go to a big school, but my last 2 years of high school was when I really started to take football serious. Things were tough during that time as far as like playing time, because we had a really good high school team at the time. I mean, Lake Nona offense, you could look it up, 2015. We were putting up like 52 points a game. So, finding a way to get in that offense when you're not the most talented guy at the time and you're, relatively, you haven't been playing football your whole life, it's kind of hard. But, I worked hard. I did what I needed to do. And I eventually got, a starting role, coming off the bench, but I was returning punts my senior year and stuff like that. But I wasn't a full-time starter my senior year of high school. So, but I had the dream that I wanted to play college ball, and that dream grew as high school went on. And so when I got to college, I wanted to play at the biggest school possible, just because I wanted that dream. And so when I, luckily my grades were good and I got into all the Florida schools, except the University of Florida, which is the reason why I ended up going to be a Seminole. But and I'm so grateful for that. I wouldn't imagine it any other way now. But when I first got there, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna walk on the team, and that was a journey. We could get into that more later, but I walked on the team, was able to eventually be on the team, played 4 years, best 4 years of my life. I miss it all the time. That made me who I am today, that college experience. And then, transitioning after college, I wanted to be a pro. That dream was since I was in high school, but it wasn't tangible until I got into college and I got around guys that were going into the league. I know so many guys in the league, and when that's around you and when you're all around that all the time, it becomes reality, quickly. Whereas when you're just a high school kid from just random nowhere, it's like, okay, that's just for those people.
Right.
And then when you get to that level and people are going to that level, you start to feel like you can do it, and that confidence it starts to grow. And so when I was leaving college, I was like, man, I want to try. I want to try to get to the NFL. I want to try to be a pro. I just want to be somebody that made it to all three levels. And I was, another long story short, I was lucky enough to get looks from the Chargers, the Commanders, and the Dolphins. Nothing really materialized, because of COVID, and that was a big disappointment. But we could get into more of that later. That was, but ultimately, like, things happen for a reason, and I was able to actually go overseas, play a little bit of ball overseas, and then come back and play arena ball for 2 years. And now, it eventually came to a point where it was like, hey, you're either going to continue playing arena ball, or you could get into the next phase of your life. And I found through coaching, I obviously in college I was like, I don't want to coach. But
I just want to play.
Yeah, I just want to play, because I seen how hard my coaches worked, and I was like, man, like, I don't know if I would want that. But then I come back from playing arena ball, and I get an opportunity to coach down in Fort Myers with my friend I played college ball with, Herbins Paul. Shout out to Paul. He gave me my first coaching opportunity, and when like my first official one, not as a volunteer, and I took that, and there was a lot of challenges and a lot of learning experiences, but my favorite part of that, and what really sparked my love for coaching, was the impact on the kids. And these kids need us, you know what I mean? And I had the knowledge to give. I had more knowledge than I thought. And the kids, when you just see the light bulbs turn on, and when you see kids able to take something from you and better their lives because of it, I mean, that you can't really put anything on that a price tag on that. Like, that feeling is just a purpose feeling, So it's been a ride. I got a chance to coach with Paradiso back here in Orlando, and he's just been so great to me since, because he coached me in high school, and he's given me a bunch of opportunities, and now this opportunity to coach wide receivers at Toho, and ever since then, I've been at this a year and like 2 months, and just going from there, just seeing what else is possible after this. But I'm just happy, just impacting kids and giving the knowledge that I have to them. Yeah,
that's awesome, especially how, like, your outlook is, and how grateful you are. Like, it wasn't for me, happened for a reason, on to the next one.
Absolutely.
And then now you want to give back to the kids, and that's just awesome.
Yeah.
But going back to the kids, specifically you as a kid, how was it, because you touched on being on such a good Lake Nona team. I was a freshman by the time you were a senior, and I just knew, A, Lake Nona was a passing team, and B, they just scored points like it was nothing. That's all I knew.
Literally. That's
all I knew. So how was it being recruited and going through that? I know you touched on it a little bit. But.
Yeah. So it was interesting, man. In high school, I want to kind of backtrack a little bit. When I was a sophomore in high school, a kid a grade above me, Ryan Sosa, was getting highly recruited. He was getting Florida States, Florida's, because we just passed the ball so much, and the stats were undeniable. We had like 1,700 yards and like, 20-some touchdowns. That's unheard of in high school. He's nearing 100 catches in a season. Like, you don't hear that. There's some seniors that don't even have 17 catches, and they still have offers. So the stats were crazy, because we're an 80-20 team, 80% pass, 20% run. We run to keep them honest.
Yeah.
So, we just lit up scoreboards and challenged people to cover, to actually cover. And 90% of high school guys can't really cover. The ones that can cover go to the next level.
Right.
And so, we lit up scoreboards, scoring, I think my senior year, we were like 52.5 points a game. And, as far as like playing in that offense, when coaches, even, because I really wasn't recruited like that. Like I said, I was more so a role player on a high school team. And why that was, it wasn't because I couldn't play. It's because our quarterback went to Clemson. One of our the number 1 receiver went to Florida, Ryan Sosa. The number 2 receiver went to East Carolina. The number 3 receiver went to Boston College, and the number 4 receiver, which was me, went to Florida State.
Jeez.
So and those guys were much more talented than me at the time. I was a late bloomer. So we just had talent all over the field. And so, like, as far as why I didn't play as much and didn't get recruited, it's because we had a really good team. So my recruiting experience was, the little schools, the Webbers, the D3 schools from up north, the Minnesota schools. I don't want to play for them. Like, I'm a Florida boy, all through and through. Like, it drops below 60, like the hoodie coming on.
Yeah.
Like, so. I knew I wanted to stay in Florida, and I wanted the big school experience. I knew what I wanted. And a lot of kids don't know what they want, and that's fine. But I knew what I wanted. I wanted to have a chance to play at a big school because I wanted that type of challenge, and I felt like I was ready for that. So, when, I would get some letters and they were interested because like, this passing team, like, you're putting up all these points and you have a role in this offense, you must be able to play. Even when I got to Florida State and I was doing the whole walk-on process, they were like, dang, like, you was a part of that team, that they were passing the ball everywhere. So, that recruiting process was not like super in depth, but it was also like, even if you weren't getting recruited, it still helped you. You know what I'm saying? The stats of that offense and stuff. So, just that recruiting process was interesting. But at the end of the day, I chose to kind of make my own route and try to go for the big school experience.
Did you go to like any camps?
So when I was in high school, I went to a few camps. I went to a lot of Florida Gator camps, and I went to a USF camp maybe. I never went to Florida State. It was just too far. But, I would go, and I went to, some of those camps. And back then, during like 2013, 14, 15, these camps weren't as big. It was either a school camp or a Nike camp. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It wasn't all these other camps that's like, oh, let's get you recruited. Those weren't all there. So it was a little bit more straightforward. You went to this Nike camp and you were the best athlete, you were getting all the offers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now it's like you got all the rivals. Oh, like this random camp that's like, oh, we'll get you recruited. All these college coaches are going to be there, and it's just a total scam. And these 7-on-7 wasn't even like really a thing back then. So these kids have a lot more opportunities to get recruited, but back then, if you were a dude, you were a dude at the camp.
Yeah.
And that's how that you were good players. So, I went to some, but it was mostly for the experience.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Yeah, I went to a couple camps, a couple in like Palm Beach or something.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like any D1 schools. They were like smaller, like, I don't want to say Ivy League, but mainly like Ivy League-ish type schools.
Yeah.
But the coaches would stay, like after each day they would stay and you could like talk to them. They would give them your card and everything. So yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, I just wanted to know because at least because I was in high school from 2014 to 2018. So
okay.
But 7-on-7 then also started popping off, at least for me.
Yeah, it did. Like right when I left high school, that's when 7-on-7 started popping off.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, I wish we did that. We didn't have like a 7-on-7 team. We would have dominated that.
Oh yeah,
because of our offense. So I mean, we would have been crazy. But yeah, it wasn't really a popular thing when I was in high school. I wish it was though.
So how was it going from Lake Nona to the Florida State University?
Yeah, man, the Florida State University. Go Seminoles, man. So I mean, just to get in depth about that. So my last senior game was against Lakeland. We played Lakeland at Lakeland, and we gave them a good match. I thought we were going to win the game. We were up two touchdowns at one point. They pulled it out, and when I was walking off that field, I should say, I was like, man, this is not going to be my last game. It's not going to be my last football experience. And so I graduated, and I knew that I had got into to every Florida school. I did the whole application thing, like I said earlier, man. And this is to all the kids out there too. The grades allowed me to do everything that I've done. I had a 3.4 GPA, so I got into every school except Florida. And you know, I eventually, you know, chose Florida State just because it was the biggest school. And, you know, I've heard great things about Florida State, not just the party stuff, but just like the experience and all the former Seminoles are like, you know, the Seminole alumni, they were just like, man, it's a great place to grow as a person. And I wanted to move away from home, not too far, but I wanted to grow up, you know what I'm saying, and get out the nest. So, you know, 4 hours away from home, I was still within arm's reach, but at the same time, I kind of had to take care of myself. So I chose to go to Florida State, and right when I got to Florida State, you know, I didn't go look at the dorms, I didn't go look at the campus, I didn't go look at, you know, all the books and stuff. I went straight to the football stadium.
Nice.
And I knocked on the door because they locked the front to the Moore Athletic Center. You know, a lady comes out. It's probably like 6 at night when I was doing this, and they closed at like 4, but somebody was in there. I was like, listen, I want to talk to somebody about trying to walk on this football team. This is day 1. This is like hour 1 on campus. My orientation starts tomorrow. And I was like, I just want to, you know what that process is like. You know, this is just September-ish time, probably August.
August, yeah.
August-ish. And she's like, you know, we already filled those spots. Like, they're
Spring.
already in camp. Yeah, you got to come back in the spring. And, you know, most people is like, oh, I got to wait a year. But, you know, me, I was disappointed, but I was like, man, like, is there anything I could do to maybe, you know, expedite that process? She's like, well, listen, if they need you, they'll call you. So just put your information down. And so I did, you know, I left my information there, but every week on every Thursday, because I knew that's when, you know, at least when it was a home game, that practice was a little bit shorter. So I would go there and I would, you know, go talk to the same person, try to get, you know, my face there. And I would just go every Thursday just to go and show my face, like, hey, like you guys got any spots? And he's like, you know, we'll call you, right? And I'm like, I know. But, you know, in my head, it was like, man, I want this more than anything. I wanted it so bad, man. Like, so I went every day. I would go do my schoolwork, and then I would go work out in the mornings, afternoons, and then at night. Sheesh. You know what I'm saying? So, like, they have this field called Langford Green. It's right in front of the stadium, you know, in front of the Unconquered statue. And, you know, they have this nice little field. It was the only field that had lights. It's the yellow lights, though. It's not like lights. It's the yellow lights that's like barely lighting up the field. But it was the only field on campus that I could get to at like past 9 o'clock at night because, you know, my studies and, you know, I would go to the gym and the gym's closed, but I needed to get my field work in. So I would just go and get my field work right in front of the stadium. It was enough motivation for me because, you know, I'm working outside the stadium to get in the stadium someday. And I knew, man, every time I was out there, man, for a year, dog, like I would just envision myself on that field. And I've never worked so intensely for something up to that point. And I knew what I wanted to do. You know, they had these, you know, days that my roommates would invite me to go out. And it wasn't that I didn't want to go out with them. It was just that I wanted something more than that. I wanted what I wanted, which was to be on that football team. And I knew I wasn't ready yet because, you know, those guys, they're making, you know, they were 5-star recruits. And so I had to get to that level. And I knew that I wasn't going to do that going to White Trash Wednesday, which is what they call it all the Seminoles will know exactly what I'm talking about, at the Strip and, you know, partying until 2 o'clock in the morning. So, you know, I would be on the field sometimes until like, you know, 1, 2 at night on Langford Green because that's the only field that's lit up. And, you know, when I'd be walking back, I'd see all the people walking back from the clubs, but I was just walking back from the field. And I took pride in that because I knew it was going to pay off, and it did. So, one spring, they called me up, and they were like, we have a spot at DB. Would you be interested? And I was like, most definitely. If they had a spot at O-line, I would go.
Yeah.
I was 180 pounds, but you know what I'm saying? I'll put my hand in the dirt. But so they called me, and that was March 31st, 2016. One of the best days of my life when I got that call. And then from that day until the day that I graduated, man, it was amazing. Yeah.
Damn, that's awesome, especially the perseverance when, they kept saying, "Oh, we'll call you," and then God's got a plan for you, and eventually, after enough time,
Absolutely,
you got your opportunity. It may not have been how you wanted,
yeah,
which was at DB,
mm-hmm.
which I've been meaning to ask. So when I was doing my research, I saw on like the Florida State website or whatever, I saw like 2016, 2017 DB,
yeah,
2018, 2019 wide receiver. I was like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
I thought this
right?
dude played wide receiver. So did you? So during practices, would you actually play wide receiver, or were you just listed as a DB?
So my first 2 years at Florida State, like I said, I came in as a DB because they needed defensive backs when I came in during that spring, and I hadn't really played DB in high school, but I was a good enough athlete that I could transition, and so they put me at free safety, not strong safety. I was more of a free safety. And I would just, take the middle of the field, okay, play cover 2. And I knew how to do that because I just knew, the translation of the game.
On
like
the other side of the ball.
Yeah, like it's just, and it really teaches you more about just playing football in general. So I knew I wanted to eventually switch to wide receiver, but I mean, I just got there. I can't make any requests.
Right.
You know what I mean? So this is actually a funny story. I'm going to show you some film in a second. So you know who Malik Henry is, right? So Malik Henry, he was on Last Chance U and everything. Really good dude. But my first day, I get to, on the practice field, and I'm just like the sensory level's on 11. Like I'm just like, this is crazy. Like I've never been in a practice environment like this. You got Derwin James, you got Dalvin Cook, everybody out there just doing their thing, and the game is moving so fast. It's like I've never felt the game move this fast before. I've been with high schoolers, and now like I'm with for future first round draft picks.
Yeah.
And that's just that speed of the game changes so fast. It's like, dang, you know what I mean? And you're just trying to keep up. And so my first practice, they throw me out there because they need guys, they need bodies. And Malik Henry at the time was a freshman, and this is his first freshman spring. And they put me at cover 2, and I guess it's because, and this is my first play, man. They just put me at cover 2, and and I dropped back, and I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm just trying to like not mess up. He throws it right to me. My first play, and I just pick the ball up and I start running, and it's like everybody looking at me like, his first play, like the first day out here, you pick off Malik Henry, like it's crazy. And it's probably just some busted up play, and I got lucky. But it's a funny story. But the guy that I went to coach with, Herbens Paul, he was the first one to actually congratulate me. He ran right up to me, and we was just like, "Yo, Mike." They barely know who I am at the time, but it's just funny that forged that friendship. And I actually, man, I'll show you like that play. It was the first play I was wearing number 35 long. They gave me oversized like
knee pads,
pants and everything. Yeah. And I was just out there. I had the bucket helmet on. I was just ready to go. And they threw it right to me. And, ever since that day, moving forward, and that's into the spring game, which was a week after that, like I actually got some burn because they're like, okay, maybe he can play. Maybe he could do something. Mm-hmm. It was just a crazy experience to go out there, and everything's moving so fast, and then you actually make a play. But as far as that, so I played DB that year, 2016. There wasn't a chance to move because that was Jimbo's reign. Jimbo Fisher was coaching, and then I tried to switch in 2017, but we still needed those DBs. And like I said, I'm still trying to gain the respect as a walk-on. You're not in a position to make any demands. You know what I mean? But there were some practices that sometimes I would go to wide receiver and run a scout team over there. So they knew I wanted to play it, but they were like, they weren't really concerned with me, just because I was a walk on,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what it is. It is what it is. Like if you were a coach, you'd be more concerned with your starters than the guys that's running the scout team for
100%.
you. So when Jimbo left to go to Texas A&M, and Coach Taggart came in, I was able to make that switch, because during that time it was like, okay, like, everything's in limbo. We don't know what's going on. Just go to offense. So I started going to offensive meetings. They put me in there, and for my last 2 years, I went to wide receiver. And I had a lot more success at wide receiver.
So while you were playing DB, or at least, were you still like practicing as a wide receiver, or were you doing both?
I was doing both. So in my off season, after my first season playing DB, I was like, listen, if this is what I'm gonna do, I need to train and I need to get right at DB. So I got a trainer in the off season, Jameis Slaughter. I think he's in Chicago right now. So shout out to Coach Slaughter. He played DB at Notre Dame, and that was the first trainer I've ever had. And he taught me so much. He got me to get my hips right. The steps, how to actually break down, how to drop your hips, in covering routes, and big shout out to him, kind of laying a foundation of how I'm supposed to really train as a higher level athlete, because I was just training myself before that. And when I actually got a trainer, it got me so much better. I could show you film me first starting out. I looked so stiff and slow, and then when I actually started learning how to train the right way, I mean, it was night and day. So shout out to him. That was probably like, what now, 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. I feel so old saying that, but I was just a 18-year-old kid at the time, 19-year-old kid, like not really knowing what the future would hold for me. And I just, I got a trainer and tried to train at DB, and I would train a little bit at wide receiver because I still had that want to be wide receiver, but at the same time, man, I was just trying to be the best that I could be to stay on that team.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And solidify some respect on that team, because my ultimate goal was I wanted to try and get on the field at some point.
Right.
Obviously, my freshman year, we won the Orange Bowl, which was awesome, but I didn't touch the field that year. My second year, I got in a couple games, and then, so on and so forth. But it was a transition, and I just had to roll with the punches. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
So in terms of being a walk-on, if you don't mind me asking, how was the finances for that? So were you on a scholarship?
Mm-hmm.
Did you already have an academic scholarship prior to that? How was that?
No, man, I was paying.
Okay.
Yeah, man. My parents took out a loan. My parents have been so great to me. They blessed me. I wasn't able to earn a scholarship because, the coaching changes. That was the ultimate goal, was to eventually earn a scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
Jimbo was awesome. He usually honored every fifth-year senior. He gave a scholarship to them just off of the muscle of being there for so long. So, I was, at the very least, I was going to get my last year paid for.
Mm-hmm.
But, he left, and I wasn't able to do that. But, my parents, they were, I didn't come from financial struggles like that. Were we rich? No, but we were able to pay for what we needed. And my parents were, they did what they needed to do to be okay financially. And so, they were able to support me. They just wanted me to chase my dreams. And I feel like that's what every good parent does,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I'll ever be able to repay them that, but I think the payment is just me being able to do something with the opportunity they gave me. So, I was able to get my college paid for. Now I'm debt free. But like at the time, I was paying, and financially, being a walk on, other than school, food wise, sometimes I had to, finesse some food somehow and just make things work. We had great nutrition, dietitians, actually, my bad. They didn't like being called nutritionists because that's a different thing. Dietitians on our football team that, they always had snacks and they always had food. So, if I couldn't get dinner, I would, maybe pack a little bit more from the snack room. But, I had a meal plan for most of my time there, so I would just, go eat in this place called The Fig. They have all types of food and just bring some home if I needed. Over the weekend, if it wasn't open, if I didn't have money for food, I would just, go get something, so, buy something if I had money. If I didn't, just use the leftover food from the snack room. College, you just find a way. But financially, it wasn't as hard for me. I didn't have to get a job. I didn't have to do that. I was able to focus on what I needed to focus on. I was never really struggling. I just had to problem solve sometimes. If I was ever hungry, I could call my parents up, like, if I had to.
Yeah.
I didn't like doing that, but if I had to, be like, listen, I need a few extra dollars just to, get some food. But, it for the most part, being a walk-on was more about, like, on the field struggles, not being treated the same. But that's what you go in expecting, you know what I mean? So, that walk-on experience taught me a lot about not being entitled to things. You got to earn stuff. When I walk in a room, I don't feel like I have earned anything. Whereas maybe a lot of people feel like they are owed something. I don't really see the world that way. I feel like, I gotta earn your respect when I walk in this room because, what do you owe me? You know what I'm saying? You don't know me. So, that goes for anything. So I just feel like that experience taught me a lot about you got to earn things. And when the respect is earned and not just given, it's a lot more deep and a lot more solid.
100%.
Yeah.
Speaking of respect, this question, I mean, no disrespect, because I never played D1, but not getting that playing time. Why did you not transfer to another school and play?
Absolutely. It's something I thought about a lot, but I loved that school, man. I loved the people, and the transfer portal wasn't really a thing when I was during that time.
Right.
Could I transfer? Yes, but I'd have to sit out a year. And I really didn't see it that way. I wanted to try to earn playing time at that school.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, thinking back on it, maybe my freshman or sophomore year, if I was getting a little bit more like traction playing, because I really didn't get that much. It was like, if I can't even try to get on the field here, what makes me think I'm going to get on the field somewhere else? If I am at least able to crack special teams here, maybe I can go to another team. But, I got so much better playing with these first round guys and these, these types of players that I just decided to stay, and I wanted to see it out. I loved being a Seminole at the end of the day. And, I felt like I could make it work there. You know what I mean? So I guess that's why I stayed. I just loved being a Seminole. I loved the atmosphere, and I wanted to bet and double down on trying to play at that university.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, have I thought about it? Of course. You always think about what ifs, but I don't have any regrets, and maybe things could have been different, but I love that university. I loved my experience and the people I met there. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
If you ever see me look at my phone, it's the notes. I promise.
No, you good.
Just let you know. Okay. So, like I said, I did my research. So, what was it like being in the same locker room as like Derwin James, Dalvin Cook, another guy I completely forgot about, Ricky Aguayo, Cam Akers, and Brian Burns?
Oh man, those guys are my guys, man. I wasn't as close with Derwin and Dalvin because I was just a freshman coming in, and they were like top dogs. But just sharing the field with them was amazing. Like, these guys are going to be future NFL stars, and you're one of them. Like, granted, these guys are doing all the great things, but you're sharing a locker room and you're getting to know them. I was way more close with Ricky. I mean, I could call it Ricky right now. Ricky was awesome. Cam, he's healing from his Achilles injury right now. And I just hope that he, bounces back. And Brian Burns is an awesome dude. If you ever get a chance to meet him, he's a great guy. me and Brian, you know, we shared a lot of laughs over the years, and you know, he's a goofball, but he's an awesome dude. And he deserves every ounce of success. All of them do, every ounce of success they're having. But you know, just being able to be their teammates, you really just learn that everybody, you know, whether you're meeting the biggest superstar ever or like just, you know, some randomly, you know, celebrity or whatever, everybody's people, and everybody has their own personal lives, their own personal struggles, no matter how famous or how like I don't know, like uppity they are or how popular they are. Everybody is just a person, and you know, as long as, you know, people treat each other with respect, like that's all that really matters at the end of the day. So, you know, did I see them as celebrities? Not really. I saw them as my teammates.
Right.
And, you know, it was awesome to just share the locker room, because everybody you mentioned is all good people, and that's the most important part. So, you know, sharing the locker room with them was awesome, and I have nothing but good things to say about all of them. And, you know, I haven't seen a lot of them in years because they're, you know, at, you know, their respective teams. And I've actually seen Ricky a few times when I go back to Tallahassee. And Ricky's awesome. He's hilarious. But, you know, besides that, you know, those guys are awesome, and, you know, we keep in touch from time to time. But just, yeah, man, I have nothing but good things to say about that. Like, they're just sharing a locker room and being able to say that I played with them, you know, it's a privilege. It's a real privilege.
Derwin.
Yeah.
His dad worked with my dad for like 10 years.
Really?
So I never met Derwin, but my dad and his dad were always going out to lunch, and like they worked in the same buildings, all that stuff. So, but hometown guy, went to Haines City and all that stuff. Another hometown guy, I play with him. Dennis Briggs. Currently at Illinois after he transferred. Yes. So him, and then Carlos Becker. OHS.
Los.
Him, and then I don't want to look, but a young Jordan Travis.
Yes.
Deondre Francois.
Yes.
Who's been the XFL, UFL, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So you got anything on those guys?
No, listen, those are all my guys. You know, I'll start with the most recent one you said, Francois. You know, he went to IMG, but he actually is from Orlando, and I think he went to Olympia.
Oh wow.
So I mean, Francois, it's interesting when during COVID, when everybody was trying to figure out how they were going to get to the next level, and you know, he was coming from Hampton because he had transferred from Florida State to Hampton, and you know, by the way, Francois is probably the best quarterback I've ever played with.
Really?
Just hands down. That dude can sling the ball. I think he's hurt right now, but he's playing with the defenders in the UFL.
Yep.
And he, to be honest, you know, all jokes aside, we call him Dirty. Dirty should be, you know, in the NFL right now. Yeah. I think he's that type of caliber quarterback. You know, whatever, you know, he has some unfortunate circumstances, but he's an awesome guy. We stay in touch all the time. You know, we'll go throw, you know, periodically. And during that time when we were trying to get, you know, through COVID and, you know, finding our way to get a solid, you know, roster spot on any team during that time, it was interesting. I went to so many camps with him. The FCF, that was like a fan controlled football.
Oh,
we had gone to a tryout, and I actually met one of my other good friends there, Andrew Jamil. Shout out to Andrew. I met him there, and I was with Francois. We were in Atlanta, and we all randomly met there. I didn't even know Dre was coming, and we ended up like you know, there was a few one-on-ones where he threw me the ball, and I made some plays, and there was a lot of one-on-ones where Andrew went totally crazy that camp, and he got picked up. I didn't end up getting picked up, but you know, that's awesome. You know, I have nothing but good things to say about Deondre. And Los, I'm close with Los, Carlos Becker. He went to OHS, and I hung out with him a lot at Florida State, and we keep in touch. You know, some other guys you mentioned, Jordan Travis. You know, I have a lot of respect and a lot of admiration for Jordan. We were close when we were at FSU, and you know, when I left, so I have an interest. Jordan. I actually want to tell a story about Jordan that's really kind of public, but like Jordan, when I got to Florida State my senior year, he gets to Florida State, he transfers in from Louisville, and he he gets there, and everybody's kind of like, oh yeah, we have a transfer quarterback. Like nobody really knows about him like that on the team, at least. And James Blackman, who's another awesome dude, he was starting for us at the time. And fast forward through the season, me and Jordan are playing on scout team most of the time. And right, isn't that weird thinking about Jordan Travis on scout team? Right. That's interesting, right? And so, Coach Taggart, who is an awesome man, by the way, we just didn't win games, but Coach Tag, he was awesome off the field. He did so much for us. We didn't have the success on the field, but off the field, Coach Tag is a great guy. I have nothing but love and admiration for Coach Taggart. He's coaching running backs with the Ravens now.
Oh damn.
Yeah, so he's there, but shout out to Coach Taggart. So when he gets fired, Coach Briles, who was our OC, decides to put in a package for Jordan right before the Boston College game. And so we go to Boston College with a bowl game on the line, and he scores the first time he touches the ball. The first time. You can look this up. We're at Boston College, and he drops back, and it's like, I think it's a design run for Jordan, and he takes it down the sideline. Like I said, when we're done with this, you can look up BC versus FSU 2019. We had to go up, and we're playing for a bowl game, right? And it's cold and everything, and Jordan, that's his first touch, like, all season, and he scores. And then, everybody's like, damn, like, what the heck? And then we go, and, James is starting the game, but, Jordan's making plays everywhere. And then towards the end of the game, Jordan's at quarterback, and he drops back because, we have the package for him. He drops back and scores again for us to win the game. And so everybody's like, who is this dude?
Yeah.
Like, the fan base is just like, who the heck is Jordan?
Uh-huh.
And, we know who Jordan is now. But back then, everybody was like, what the heck? And, Jordan goes on into because that was the end of the season. Then we go, the next two games, he gets touches and he's scoring. He's just making plays.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward, I graduate, and, fast forward through the years there, FSU struggling, but Jordan's kind of getting in, like fighting for, starting spots between James and then Mackenzie Milton,
right?
From UCF transfers. He's competing with him. Jordan never leaves. Jordan never just works. The knock on him was he can't throw the ball. He could just run, which is not true. Obviously, we know now that's not true. And, 2022, when my brother, who's actually at Florida State right now, when he first gets there, Jordan just, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. And then goes undefeated the next year. I mean, it's awful what happened to him with his leg. I visited him in the hospital, and, he's just such a good guy. He was like, his first reaction was like, did we win the game?
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course we won the game. Like, but, we're worried about you. And, he had great spirits, but Jordan's really a true testament to just staying the course. And, like, I mean, if you saw him going from scout team, even though he was a scholarship guy, to being one of the best, most efficient quarterbacks in the entire college football over the span of 4 years, I mean, he deserves everything that he's getting. And now that he's behind Aaron Rodgers with the Jets, I think I'm going to call it on your podcast. I'm going to call it right here. I think Jordan will be a starting quarterback in the NFL. And I think he's going to take over for the Jets. And Jordan has it. Mm-hmm. Like, no offense to Zach Wilson, no offense to all these other Jets quarterbacks. Jordan will be their quarterback someday, and he's going to be, a 10-year starter for them.
Yeah. He got drafted in the 7th or 6th?
I think it was 5th.
Okay.
5th round. Yeah, fifth round. Yeah, I mean, I was watching it, the Jets. I was like, that's great. I was like, that's a great situation for him to learn behind Aaron Rodgers. And when Rodgers leaves, watch, Jordan's going to be just I'm calling it on your podcast. They're gonna come right back to this podcast.
That's fine. Hopefully, because I'm a big NFL guy, so hopefully Hackett stays.
Yeah.
So he can learn under the offense.
Yeah.
Because you know how it goes with offensive coordinators in the league. You know.
It's all situational, man.
Yeah.
Everybody in the league is talented. I mean, I've had the chance to throw with Justin Fields before, and who's another great. All these guys are good dudes. Justin Fields is talented as heck, and he's out there, you know, fighting for a job right now because of situations. It's all about the situation, man. You know, when a rookie quarterback comes in my opinion, it's this OC? Who's his OC? That like people pay attention too much to the quarterback as more than like who's the OC? How many OCs leave every single year? How many offenses does he need to learn? Tom Brady had the same guys his whole career
For the most part, yeah.
And I love Tom Brady. I'm a big Tom Brady fan.
Oh, me too, yeah.
But it's harder for somebody like Justin Fields who, you know, has to learn different systems, has to deal with not having all the weapons. You know what I mean? So I just use him as an example. It's all situational. I think Jordan Travis is in a great situation.
All right, so like I said, I did my research. So how was it transitioning from FSU to the Hungarian American Football League, playing for the whatever Sharks?
Your Sharks,
There you
man. I think it's Gyr. So I'm gonna try to make this long story short, but so this is I'm training for my pro day, right? February 2020, right?
Right before COVID.
Yeah. You know, March 2020, like, PTSD, right? So, you know, I'm training for my pro day. My pro day gets canceled 3 days before. Yeah. Damn. It's crazy, man. So I was one of 3 receivers that were going to be testing at pro day. Me, Keith Gavin, and Tyrell Moore. Shout out to them. And, you know, so Keith was the one that was probably the NFL scouts are going to be more looking like at, because he was a starter at Florida State. And Keith is just like a specimen of an athlete, like 6'3", like 220, like just running, super strong, super good player. And me and Tyrell were 2 walk-ons, but we were good walk-ons. You know what I'm saying? Like we were experienced players, and we really wanted to see if we could get a team's attention. And it's just unfortunate that it got canceled like that. So then March 2020 hits, and we're in limbo. Like we don't know what's going on, you know. So I think the wink went. It's like my pro day was on March 23rd, right? I want to say it was March 23rd, and March 19th happens. It got canceled like 2 days before that. So this is probably like March 17th ish. Pro day gets canceled. Boom. Then the world shuts down, and I have to go home. So instead of NFL pro day that I've been working for 3 months, or really 4 years for, I'm at home, not knowing what's gonna happen.
Right.
And that lasts all the way into the summer. You know, you're just working. I mean, we were getting kicked off fields, man. Like it was a weird time. Shout out to my trainer during the time, AJ Coney. He had Coney Camp, and he was one of the only trainers that was really trying to get work in during COVID. I mean, we had cops pull up on us to kick us off of fields like we were doing something illegal. I mean, this really happened.
Yeah.
And it's like we're just trying to work out, man. Like, don't you have like people to go like check on?
Yeah.
Like, you have people that's like robbing people out here. Like, you're coming to kick off some football players trying to be productive. They were just doing their jobs.
Yeah.
But so, you know, it was such a weird thing. But we found ways to get work in, and, you know, even though it was like, it felt like we were like trying to be incognito about just trying to work out. And so this is like June 2020, and I start looking into overseas ball. COVID restrictions are a little bit lower there, for whatever reason. And so I will go on this website that's pretty, like, it's pretty well renowned in that world. It's I actually forget the name of it. I think it's European football or something. And it's basically like a free agent database for those teams over there to grab players from over here. And they have all types of rules. Like you can only have like two, 3, or 4 Americans on your team and whatnot. Yeah. So like it's very limited spots. And when you go over there, you're not just a player, you're a coach, and they pay you, but you're expected to kind of help with get their program, right. You're a player coach. And so I just wanted to get some film because when I was speaking to the Chargers at the time, they were like, "Man, we don't have any film of you because you didn't play a lot at Florida State."
Right.
And that's understandable. I didn't. So I was like, "Man, I got to go get some film." And so I go overseas. Gear Sharks is the one. They were the first to reach out, and they were like, "Man, we want you." We got an American coach, Coach Fernandez. He was awesome. We were good friends over there. We were similar in age. I think he's still over there. He's not coaching the same team, but he's coaching a different team. But we go over there, and I go over there, and I'm just, thrust into a different world, man. Like, I don't speak the language. I'm alone, other than Coach Fern, but like, it was a total culture shock, like for me, and it opens up your mind to what people that come over here and don't speak the language, like what they have to go through. Like, it was a process for me to go get some groceries.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, I don't speak Hungarian. I know how to say thank you. I know how to say please, but I don't know what to say. And so whenever I go through like the grocery line over there, it's like if there's a problem, I can't communicate.
Yeah.
And so I would be like sweating. I'm like, everything's in Hungarian. So like, say if I would put my card, and if like they started talking, I'd be like, yeah. Like, I'd be like, what's going on? But there's a couple of funny interactions, and thank God I speak English, because sometimes you'll be like, I don't like, I speak English, and they'll be like, oh, okay. Like, what I'm saying? Like, oh, okay, you speak English. What's up? Like, but, man, it was interesting just going over there. I met a lot of different types of people over there, and, they welcomed me with open arms, my teammates over there. And it's just a different way of doing things, man. Football is like a religion here. And over there, they practice twice a week.
What? No.
Twice a week, games every 2 weeks. People got jobs, and it's like their hobby. But they pay the Americans to come over there and kind of grow the sport.
Okay.
And so it's just interesting, man. Like I would be training, and they're like, "Why are you training so hard?" I'm like, "Oh, damn, I want to go to the NFL." And they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." So it's just different, man, and it was fun. I made a lot of plays over there. I played 2.5 games because of COVID. So COVID shut down a lot of games. Damn. So I played 2.5 games, and I scored 10 touchdowns. Yeah. So, the talent level wasn't where it needed to be. So I didn't get the best film, but I got some. But, that was an interesting experience. And I'm thankful I went through it, because it opens up your eyes. It opens up your mind to that there's a bigger world than just the United States out there, and how to just be independent. I was over there trying to survive, not being able to communicate with a lot of people. So it was an interesting experience, and I'm thankful for it.
So are the rules like the same?
It was college rules.
Okay.
College rules. So they just go off the college rules.
Okay.
And they had refs over there that did a decent job. I don't know where they got them from, but yeah.
So then transitioning to indoor.
Yeah.
So what was it like playing in the Champions Indoor Football League for the Wyoming Mustangs?
Wyoming Mustangs,
Yes,
man.
sir.
It's crazy. They're not even a team anymore.
No, they're not.
Oh, bro. You did your research. So the Wyoming Mustangs, man. Oh, I got so many good stories about them, man. So my agent gets me. I'm gonna try to just fast forward to the good stuff. My agent gets me a role, going to the Wyoming Mustangs. I'm like, Wyoming? And he's like, man, you go over there, you make some plays, and we'll get you out of there. We'll get you to the CFL. I was like, okay. I'll play they have 4 games left in their season, so I get signed, and they immediately cut 3 people for me. And I was like, dang, like that's how cutthroat it is, because they were losing at the time. Shout out to Coach Pimmel, who was the one who signed me. He was the OC at the time, and Coach Pimmel brings me in, and he's like, yeah, man, like that's how it is. These guys aren't getting the job done, so we brought you in. And I come from a big school, and not all the time when you come into arena ball, or people from big schools are from small schools. All the big school kids are in the NFL.
Yeah.
But then you learn that, there's some guys that fell through the cracks. Like, even though they played at big schools, I played with guys that played at Texas, Oklahoma. So, you come in and it's like, oh, this Florida State receiver's coming in. He must be good. But, when you go and you get signed to a team where people are trying to feed their families and trying to, like, make a job for themselves, is a little different than when you're in high school and college and you're, like, just playing.
Mm-hmm.
And, you're competing for a job, but it's not as drastic and dire. These guys get cut and they get removed from the team if you're not performing.
Right.
So, that was different. And you try to make friends with camaraderie, but then he could not be here tomorrow. Okay. Like, he could get cut tomorrow. But my first season with Wyoming Mustangs, we didn't win a lot of games, but I come in and I start the first game, and I have like 2 catches. I didn't really do much, but just the camaraderie with the team. I made friends really quickly, and just shout out to Dave Calderon, Jared Harris, Rashad Ridley, and Taylor, who was also there. He left early, but those guys, just like, we had so many laughs, so many good times in 1 month of me being there, my first season. And those guys are still playing, but just super fun. That was different. While you're playing ball, just being able to form a bond with teammates that you've never met before, that was awesome. But my time in arena was definitely interesting. And like, arena, I have good and bad things to say about arena ball, especially in my second season. Arena ball, if you really look into the landscape of it, unless you're with teams like the Massachusetts Pirates and the Arizona Rattlers, like, those are established teams, and they have good funding. Omaha Beef as well. But if you're not in those teams, I mean, teams just crumble apart because they don't have the funding, and their shady management, some teams. So, that's something that's a factor that drove me out of it. Man, like, I think the Wyoming Mustangs higher ups did their best with what they were given. But, we were practicing. Sometimes we didn't know where we were going to practice.
Damn.
Yeah, because it might be too cold outside and we can't go out to the fields. And it's like, we don't have the Camplex where we played our games at. It was really just like a municipal arena. So, they had other things going on in there. So we didn't always have a place to practice. So it just wasn't as organized as I was used to having football coming from a big school. So, like, it was awesome getting that pro experience, getting paid to play football. Like, that's all I wanted to do. But at the end of the day, like that wasn't something that was long term for me, especially, the writing was on the wall after year 2 that I wasn't going to be able to advance, because every year you're out of college, there's just more rookies going into the NFL. And it's like, why would we take this 26-year-old when we could have this 21-year-old coming out of college? You know what I'm saying? They're just not going to pick you up. That's just the business behind football. So, yeah.
So what was it like playing arena football with all those different rules?
It's so weird, man. You have to learn, because there's a running start. It's called a high motion. So, that's something that's the first main difference, is like, there's 8 guys on the field, one. So it's a lot. It seems like there's more space because there's less guys, but it's really, it's a small field. It's 50 yards and 25 across. It's very congested in there, even with 16 guys on the field. And so, getting used to that. And then as a receiver, I like the high motion because when you're not able to just, when you're stationary, a DB is much easier for a DB to press. When you're already moving, it's hard to cover that. So if you're a DB and a good DB in arena, they can easily make a transition to the NFL because if you can cover those high motions, like you're a pretty solid player. So,
good point.
If some of those guys that do make it out of arena and go to CFL, UFL, NFL, it's because they're having to cover high motions. Because, it's very self-explanatory. If I'm running full speed at you, you have to make a decision fast on how you're going to cover me. You can't press me. You know what I mean? So, and as a receiver, the high motions made it a lot easier. But it was tiring because I was usually the high motion receiver. And so you're running 15 yards before you even run your play. So, and for all of those that don't understand how it works, basically, the quarterback sends you in motion like anything else, and he has to snap the ball before you pass the line of scrimmage. So, the snap count was a little like predictable, but everything's one-on-ones because your blocks are one-on-one up front.
Right.
So you get exposed if you're not a good offensive lineman because you can't double team. So it's 3-on-3 right there. Yeah. And then, it's just the whole game is one-on-ones because you get your 3-on-3 there, and then you got your middle linebacker and your 4 DBs, and then you have your running back and your three or four receivers or 3 receivers. So, they played a lot of zone, but there's a lot of man-to-man there. So I just think that while there's not as much space to cover, you have to be fundamentally sound playing arena ball. So, it's such a different game. But at the end of the day, it was still football. It was still, at the end of the day for me, it was just running routes and catching the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, it wasn't as hard as a transition as maybe it may seem, but it was not the same. And what I didn't like about it was I love playing in space. Like as a receiver, you love space because it's just, that's self-explanatory. You want space, but one good thing was, man, everything in arena happens faster, so it teaches quarterbacks to get the ball out. Because if one-on-one blocks, like if one guy's just good, you got to get that ball out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you touched on it right in the beginning. So how was the transition from not playing anymore to now coaching?
Yeah, man. That was hard. It was hard for me to make that decision. So when I was playing arena ball towards the very end, we just switched the offense because we had a coach fired. We actually had 2 coaches fired.
Oh, damn.
It's turmoil, man.
Wait, you're talking about in
Wyoming?
Yeah, I read that they completely cleaned house. I was like, what
you
the
did
hell?
your research,
yeah,
bro.
I read that.
Oh yeah, man. It was I don't like talking bad about people, so I'm gonna keep this really politically correct. But just we had coaches that meant well but weren't really competent in what they were doing. I think that they didn't have the right help per se. They were trying to do it all themselves. So, it's not all their fault. But we had 2 coaches. They cleaned house. And then they brought in a competent coach. And he switched the offense to, more of an I formation.
Okay.
So there was
in arena?
Yeah. Yeah, right? And so they just, we were run heavy and we weren't throwing the ball. I was getting maybe 1 target a game. Yeah, so, it was working. We were winning games, but, it was way more running back focused. And it's not their fault, you know what I'm saying? That was his offense. And so, and I was also, going back to my soccer background, they save a roster spot if one of the guys on the team can already kick, so they don't have to sign a kicker.
I saw kicking highlights of you.
Exactly.
I did.
So I was able to kick. So, I've always had that talent. So they had me kicking as well. So I would kick, and eventually I was just feeling like I was a kicker, and I wasn't really being used as a wide receiver. So I was like, man, and then during that time, coincidentally, my boy Paul offered me a job down in Fort Myers to coach. He's like, man, I got a receiving job for you. You get your teaching certification, we get you a teaching spot, salary, and you can start your coaching career down here. It's going to be hard. It's going to be, he warned me before that it's a struggling program. I'm the new head coach. We're probably not going to win a lot of games, but this will be a great opportunity for you to learn and get your feet wet in coaching. And at first, I was like, man, I don't know. I was like, I want to play. I'm 24 years old, man. Like, I don't know if I want to coach yet. And, at the time I had been training, I have my little training business. And so I'd been training. And so I know how to coach because I've been training kids, but I didn't know if I was ready. As the weeks went on, I was getting less and less satisfied with arena ball. And I was like, what am I going to do? Just go home after the season and go through this again? And, it was wearing on my body. I was hurting. Like, my quad was hurt all season, my ankles, my knees. And, football is just a lot of wear and tear on your body, especially as you get older. Those NFL guys, just so you know, man, you have to respect them because they're going 16, 17, 18 games. And those guys are in the Super Bowl, played 20 games.
Yeah. That's
a lot of football, man. Like, and those guys are the highest level athletes, so they're taking the hardest hits. So, I mean, like, just know an NFL running back like Christian McCaffrey, who was all year, bro, he's got his body worked on 24/7 because it's hard to do.
I believe it.
Trust me, bro. 18 games. We played 10 games in college, and then arena we played like, I want to say it was 15. Bro, I'm hurt by week 3. I'm like, yo, like, how am I gonna make it to next Sunday? Like, after the game, I remember one time, man. I played a game. I had a really good game. I scored like twice. Had like 9 catches for probably 100-something yards, and it was probably my best arena game. We lost, but so I there's this good wing spot in Wyoming called Old Chicago. So I went there, and I'm just like limping in and just ate my wings. I'm like, bro, I am hurt. It was like week 3. And I'm like, how am I going to play next week? Like, I barely walk. And I had practice like 2 days after that. We get an off day, and then we have practice. But, those guys in the league, man, they're just awesome. But, yeah, so I had to kick and all that. But, yeah, man, it was crazy. Yeah.
So, we'll get back into the coaching, but yeah, I was watching the highlight and I was like, "Is this chick kicking?" I'm like, "Did he just kick like a 40-yarder?"
Yes, bro.
I was like, "What's going on?"
No, literally, man, and it's interesting, bro. Like, they put me out there and they're like, "You can really kick?" I was like, "Bro, I can try." And our kicker at the time, so our kicker had gotten hurt on when I first got to Wyoming. Our kicker had gotten hurt. And so they're like, yeah, we got to sign a kicker. And I was like, I can try, like, so you guys don't have to sign somebody. They're like, you can kick? And so I kicked a 40, 30-yard field goal. And they're like, man, we could work with this.
Yeah.
You could just kick off and, like, we'll go for 2 if you can't make a field goal. And in arena, I kid you not, the goalpost is not like a regular goalpost. It's like from your TV to probably this right here. Like, that's literally, I mean, you could ask any arena player. The goalpost is so small. So arena kickers that are accurate should be in the NFL because that's ridiculous. But, yeah, man, Paul called me, and, as arena went on, I just felt more and more like a kicker, and I was like, man, let's do it. So I drove all the way down because I had drove up there because I wanted my car. I drove all the way down to Fort Myers and started coaching. I figured out the rest of the living situation, everything. And, my first season down there, those kids needed our help, man. We had some good players, but they didn't have a lot of structure. And we introduced our Florida State background and our structure that we had been through and just got them to believe in something. And we actually, man, we won no games. We went 0-8. Yeah, man, it was a lot of disappointment, a lot of defeat. But his second year so I left after that first year to come back home and coach with Deso. But his second year, man, he went 5-5. He won 5 games. So, that just goes to the resilience and like the structure that he put in place that first year, and all those kids that stayed and all the kids that came in and saw that they were getting coached hard and had structure. Because kids, as much as they tell you they don't, they crave structure. That's all they want, man. Like they'll resist it, but they'll appreciate it. Like if you have a certain way you do things and they believe in it, even though it might be tough, they want to be coached like that. You don't want just some slap coaching you. No. Like, oh, you don't want just like, yeah, do whatever you want.
Yeah, what kind of coach is that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You want, no, we do things this way and you do it this way. Is it going to be hard? Yes. But you get the structure and the coaching because you get the discipline from that, and you start to believe in what you're doing. And once the kids buy into it, you don't even got to coach no more.
Mm-hmm. So staying on the kids,
yeah.
What is the biggest thing you've learned from the kids?
From the kids, man. Oh, that's a great question. I think the biggest thing I've learned from the kids is patience.
Okay.
Or the kids have taught me is to have patience. Being in college and being a pro, you're dealing with a lot of adults.
Right.
And everything's either, perfect, and then they, everything's good. But if you're not performing, it's like, okay, we'll get somebody else in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not doing it for me. You're fired. You get in here.
Mm-hmm.
With kids, you don't do that to them. You have to work with them. You have to mold them.
Yeah.
And like, just because little Johnny doesn't get it doesn't mean I can just fire little Johnny. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got to teach little Johnny how to do it. So just the patience of, he didn't get it the first time. He's not going to get it the 15th time either. You know what I'm saying? But Johnny appreciates that you coach him past that 20th time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And even though I'm saying the same things, if Johnny's getting a little better every time, I'm doing my job.
Right.
And that's what it's all about, because it's just patience, man. I never thought I'd have that talent to work with kids and younger athletes and even older athletes. Like I've trained college guys before, and I have a lot of college guys that want to train with me, and just the most rewarding part of that is the feedback you get from them. And it's like I just had a kid, one of my kids, he actually broke his collarbone in our spring game, and he's getting healthy. I talked to his parents and everything, and he's like, the first thing he says, coach, is like, he's about to have surgery, and you would think he'd be nervous about the surgery, right? And because I would be, but he's like, coach, I'm nervous because everything you've taught me, like, I'm afraid to lose it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, man, no, you're not gonna lose it. I'm gonna be right here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's all muscle memory, kid. So it's just, these kids really listen to you. They might act like they don't, and they might, like, their actions might show like, oh, like, coach don't know what you're talking about, or like, coach is being too aggressive, but they listen to you.
Oh, yeah.
And they take after, they watch you more than you think. And it's just the patience of being able to work with them and not turning your back on a kid just because he's not learning it right now. That's the biggest thing that they've taught me, and that they appreciate what you do for them.
Yeah, I worked with kids, not coaching, but I worked with kids for like 5 years, from the ages like 17 to like 21-ish, but doing like summer camps. Yeah. And like you mentioned, patience, and they pick up on everything. Yeah. And I remember, because at the time when I first got the job, I was like 16 or 17. And I was like, oh man. Yeah. But these kids were like 9, 10, and 11. That was like my age
kids,
group.
Yeah.
And they're really kids. I was like, man. But they taught me so much. And like you mentioned, I feel like kids can teach you more than people think. But
no, really.
Coaching, oh man, bro, I'm getting goosebumps, bro. I love football, and like I've genuinely thought about like getting into coaching as well, just because. Oh man, I just love football.
Man, it's the closest thing to playing.
Yeah.
A lot of former players get into coaching. I would say there's 2 reasons why, and they're the reasons why I really get into coaching. So I always knew that the main thing I want to do is impact people. Mm-hmm. I want to help people. I've always had that about me, and I also want to feel like what I'm doing is purposeful and what I'm doing is important. And I didn't know what that looked like when I was in college or when I was in high school. Like, I didn't know what that was. And it's interesting, I'm a faith guy, and I believe in God, and it's really interesting that it kind of just those puzzle pieces fall in place. It's like, oh yeah, be a coach. You impact kids, and it's purposeful because you change a lot of lives.
100%.
A lot of these kids don't have father figures. That's another thing that you learn when you get in. I'm a younger coach, so more of a brotherly figure, which allows me to connect with them more so on a personal level. Whereas maybe when I am an older coach, it's going to be more of a fatherly figure because, man, not to get too deep into it, but a lot of these kids don't have a father figure or male,
role models.
And absolutely, man. And the absence of that causes way more problems than people think. Kids don't know how to be a man because they don't have one at home. So yeah, this kid is acting out in school, doesn't know how to respect people because nobody's ever taught him.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Nobody's ever said, hey, that's like, what are you doing? That's not what men do. He doesn't know how to treat women because he's never been taught. So, it's so much more important than people realize.
Yeah. Next one is, how has it been being a wide receiver coach, and do you want to continue coaching?
Yeah, man. Coaching my position it's been a pleasure. I'm so passionate about football in general, but being a wide receiver as well, getting to coach the position that I feel like I know the most about, and actually being able to share that knowledge, I love it. And as far as continuing to coach, I mean, I would love to make a career out of this. Whatever the next step is, whether it's going to coach in college or just maybe possibly being a head coach in high school, we'll see where that leads me. I still have a lot to learn. I have a lot of leadership skills that I need to refine, and I know where I'm at as far as my skills are and what I need to work on. And so I'm trying to work on those things, and I just want to continue to progress and maybe be that head coach someday, and be able to leave my legacy like that. Ultimately, my dream at the end of the day is I really want to open up my own training facility, and be able to help kids that way. Maybe down the road sometime, and figure out the financial part of that, but grow my training business and be able to impact kids like that, and hopefully open up my own facility someday and just impact kids, man. Like, impact the community and give back to the community, and use football as that vessel that has given so much to me, that I could just give it and use it to impact the kids, and just save as many as possible, man. Like some of these kids, they don't have any guidance, and maybe if you just steer them in a direction, you save one, and you save one, that's enough. You know what I'm saying?
So touch on your training, like business and what you do and what you offer.
Yeah.
And just go
so, I just rebranded. So it's Barulich Performance now. And what I do is I train athletes of all ages, primarily football guys, but I mean, I've trained, softball girls, tennis girls, just on speed and agility, all the way up to, basketball, girls and boys, all ages. I just speed, agility, wide receiver training, and anything in between that's athletic related. I just try to help athletes achieve their season goals. So, especially this summer is when it really ramps up for me. I train a lot during the summer. I try to, hold group sessions. I'm going to do group sessions every Monday and Wednesday this coming summer, throughout the summer. So every Monday and Wednesday at 3 before I start my workouts, for my football team, I'm going to just be training kids out there. They come in, group session. It'll be football focused, but any kid that wants to help push their skills to another level, I just want to be there to help, And, I've trained a lot of kids in the area, and they're having success right now. There's kids at Edgewater that I trained in Avalon. They're going and having great success there. I've trained a lot of kids on my own team, and I've seen them grow. I have, guys I train that's at UCF. One of them just transferred. I think he transferred to, because this was like 2 days ago. I forget which team he transferred to. I want to say it's in Florida, but he was playing at UCF. And just seeing them being able to progress onto the college is, I'm starting to hopefully leave a legacy around here, and I would just love to keep impacting these kids. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. You know what I mean? Yeah, you do it for a side hustle and try to make money, but the real basis behind it is giving the community something positive in a world that's like really filled with a lot of negative stuff. And I just want to like be able to bring some of my knowledge and some of my experiences to these kids, and so they could do something productive with their time.
Mm-hmm. Gonna flip the switch. What was it like catching passes from Jameis Winston?
Oh man, bro! When I when I got a chance to catch passes from him, man, that was a good time. Jameis is a funny guy, man. Jameis is like everything that you see online. He's like that in real life, but he's actually a really smart guy. A lot of people, he's a goofy guy and he likes to joke, but he's a really smart guy. You got to be smart to even grasp an NFL playbook.
Okay.
So let's just start with that. But Jameis is a funny guy. He remembers everybody's names. He's very cool. I never got to play with him at Florida State, but when he would come back and throw, he would remember me, and we would get together sometimes. And I've been to Kenny Shaw's camps. Kenny Shaw is played on that 2013 team. Okay. And he has camps around here in Orlando, and he's basically an Orlando legend now because he just gives back to the community. Like, he holds camps for free for kids and just all this awesome stuff. Like, Kenny Shaw is just an admirable person around here. He's actually one of my mentors. Like when I was at Florida State, he came and trained us and kind of got us right on the right path. So I see him from time to time, and he's really cool with Jameis Winston. So whenever they come here, it's always a good time. And Jameis is an awesome dude, and he, I'm glad he's still on the NFL roster, and it was fun, bro, catching passes from him. He can throw the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's also really big on his faith too, which I love.
Yes.
But he's currently on the Browns, right?
Yeah. I think he just got signed to the Browns. So yeah, we'll see what he can do this season, if he could get on the field and all that.
Yeah, he's funny, bro. Whenever I'm out, like either playing basketball or whatever, if I win, I'm always like,
eat the W.
Eat the W.
Oh
baby.
my gosh, that's so funny. We always make fun of that. But yeah, I mean, it's like become a brand for him, like this stuff. But yeah, he's hilarious.
What was it like being in Deestroying's video?
Oh my gosh, you do your research, man. That's awesome. So Deestroying, that was funny, bro. I'm just gonna go through that whole day. So that's actually the FCF camp that I was talking about earlier.
Okay.
And Deondre actually threw me that pass.
Francois?
Yeah, no Francois way. Was actually the one. If you look closely, if you're able to slow the video down, you'll see he's the one who threw me that back shoulder pass. But,
both passes?
Yeah, both of them. And so it's so funny. So I was aware of who Deestroying was before that, but when I went to that camp, I didn't know he was gonna be there. Mm-hmm. And then everybody was like, "Yeah, Deestroying's coming through." And I'm like, "Is that the YouTube guy?" That's like, and he was really getting traction around that time.
When was this? 2021?
This was 2020.
2020.
Okay. It was like November 2020.
Okay.
I just less than probably, this is gonna sound crazy, less than like 4 days before that, I had just gotten back from playing overseas. So I just got back to the United States, and my agent hits me up. He's like, "There's a FCF camp in Atlanta. Like, can you make it?" I'm like, "I'm in Orlando, but yeah, sure, whatever. Like, I'll drive up there for a day." So I got a hotel room and drove up there for that camp. But that was cool because he shows up. and he's, Deestroying is he's a chilled guy. Like, he's you can tell that he just loves football, and he's been able to make, this social media personality for himself, and
Yeah.
He just loves ball. So he came out there, dapped everybody up. I was able to make a play, and I made the thumbnail in his video.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
No way.
I was the thumbnail for that video, which is crazy. I didn't get picked up from SCF. It was crazy, but he made me the thumbnail for that video, so I got a lot of views on that. I wouldn't say it went viral, but like a lot. That was my social media was popping during that time.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that he like made it the thumbnail, and so then like he puts the full catch and a full reaction to the catch, and a lot of people in the comments section. I mean, he got like 17,000 comments on there, and like a lot of people in the comments section. I was wearing number 00. And they're like, damn, like that catch was crazy, and I just got a little love for that. So that was an interesting experience. That was definitely cool. It's like he wasn't obviously thinking about me when he posted that at the time, but like he's awesome for like putting me in that type of position just off the grace of God, like that he just kind of thought that was a good play. But that was a really fun, interesting experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, D being a hometown guy also, I've known of him for like years and years, and one of my boys actually ended up being in one of his videos as well. He was a kicker for OHS. And it was like for every however many 50-yarders, he gets so much money. Yeah. And like I grew up with that kid like in church too. So it was like, I was like, yo, this guy's like, that's awesome. But D's popping off, bro.
No, he is.
He does all the, touring and going to the colleges and doing like sort of, recruitment videos for other athletes, which is really cool. And then now, was it the XFL or USF?
I think it was, it was the UFL.
For the Brahmas. Unfortunately, he got hurt. But at least he was able to like, show people that he could make like
he can still
a pro
play.
roster.
Yeah, absolutely. He can kick. And what like people, say that these YouTubers are in it for the money, but honestly, like I respect so much what he does because he found a little niche of the game of football that we all love, and he made it into something that little kids love to watch, or just any football player loves to watch, and he puts people on a platform. Like even me. You know what I'm saying? Like, he put me on a platform for me to get some recognition. And everybody that ends up on his videos, it goes viral. So, and he does that stuff just, because of who he is. So, I mean, I love it. Like, that he has that type of platform. He's as popular as he is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, now I want to talk about FSU and the top 4 last year. Oh, yeah. I'm going to give you my opinion first. It's a little bit of a rant, but I'm going to give you my opinion first. So, I believe FSU being left out of the top 4, I believe the committee did it the right way. Okay. Now let me explain.
Okay.
Kirk Herbstreit.
Yeah.
I love him. I love the way he breaks down the game and everything like that.
Yeah.
He said you have to pick a team where they're currently at, not where they were a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And I respect that. I wouldn't have put Texas in.
No.
I would have put Alabama, Georgia, Washington, and Michigan. That would have been my top 4.
Okay, I see that.
The top 2 was Michigan and Washington, and then whatever the 3 and 4 would have been. That would have been mine.
Yeah.
The only reason, obviously, Jordan Travis.
Yeah.
No disrespect, you guys were not the same offensively. No. Defensively, you're perfectly fine. You guys are perfectly the same. Yeah. But offensively, not. So that's my opinion. I think they would have been 5, and they were 5, right? Or
yeah, we were the first left out, so it was 5.
5. Yeah. But with the rules coming next year, I mean, it's a year too late, but that's my opinion. I think the committee got it right, so I want to hear what you think.
At the time, I was super emotional about it. Like I can't believe they did this. Like they left us out, and it became like a freaking natural phenomenon. Yeah. And so, as it's sizzled out and as I've had time to think about it, I think we should have got in? Yes, but the reason why is because like of the circumstances of what happened. Like, for example, when Alabama and Georgia played, right?
Mm-hmm. For the SEC championship?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm like, we want Alabama to win, right? Because we want Georgia to fall. But then in retrospect, if Georgia wins, Like,
Alabama falls even further.
You can't put Alabama
Right.
in. So then it's like, then we have to get in. You know what I mean? But then again, if Georgia loses, I think honestly, to be honest with you, you can make an argument why we couldn't be in the playoff. Georgia's the best team in college football.
For a chance to three-peat, you leave the back-to-back national champions out?
And so it's like, I don't know about that one. You drop them all the way to 6 under us?
Yeah.
So,
Thank
you're, I just, facts is facts. Like, Georgia's the best team in the league. They played us. And
100%.
and I have my own opinion about that game, and we could get into that. But, like, yes, I think we were, depending on what college football says, it's like, take them as they are. Without Jordan Travis, they're not the same team. That's fair because that's true.
Yeah.
Now, we're undefeated, right? You put us in there. Now, if it was a high school or something that's not based on money, we're in.
Yes, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the problem that I have because it kind of messes with the integrity of the game. And that's just my opinion. Like, because 13-0, we found a way to win the ACC championship, which if you go back and watch the game, it's just impressive, man. Like, Louisville, one of the best offenses in the nation at the time, and we go and beat them with a freshman quarterback, you know what I'm saying, who only had 55 passing yards. No offense to him. It was a rainy day, and he's a talented guy, but imagine being a true freshman.
Yeah.
You weren't even supposed to play that year.
Respectfully,
Like,
he's not a Heisman Trophy
Yeah,
candidate.
you know what I'm saying? Like, respectfully, like, and I've actually met Brock Glenn. He's a good dude, and I hope that he has success. But, like, in that moment, like, he actually did better than I thought he was going to. He didn't throw no picks.
Right.
Like, I thought I was an amazing coaching job, but that's another thing. But so we're on the decision day, and you have us at 5, but you have Georgia under us, right? So you think this is what the college football committee is saying? You think we're better than Georgia? We're more deserving than Georgia, who lost by 3 points to Alabama, who just jumped 5 spots. It honestly, and then because you put Alabama in, you have to put Texas in.
I know, bro.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, you have to put Texas in because they beat Alabama. So they were, honestly, it really, the game that messed it all up was Alabama beating Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay, Alabama, they're SEC champions, but you put them all the way up. Now you have to bump somebody else out. You know what I'm saying? You have to bump us out for Texas. Because if Alabama jumps us and you're going to leave Georgia out, which shouldn't have happened, Georgia should have been number 4.
Yeah.
I would have respected, as myself, maybe not everybody else. I think we should have been in. We're deserving of it, and we were undefeated. And no matter what the team is, that team deserves to be in. But money, ratings kept us out because they don't want to see what happened with us when we played Georgia.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want to see that for a playoff game. Do I think that would have happened with all our guys? Do I think we could win it? I mean, I'm always going to be biased towards Florida State. But, just being real, we probably don't win it all. But as for the integrity of the game, being an undefeated Power 5 conference champion, we deserve to be in.
Yeah.
But also, Georgia, who was undefeated for like 2 straight years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they lose to 3 points to Alabama and they drop 5 spots?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make any sense. Georgia should be in. Georgia, really what should have happened is Georgia should have been in at 3 and we should have been 4. And then go from there. But, like, Alabama, I think, my personal thing, I think Alabama got favorited in there.
I don't disagree. I agree with everything you just said, 100%.
Yeah.
The thing that sucks about only 4 seeds making it is we created this narrative of, okay, it's only the top 4 best teams.
Yeah.
It's not even, it's only the top 4. So that's where it kind of sucks, because had Florida State, won, no questions asked, they would have been top 3 or 2, wherever you want to put them, whatever.
Yeah.
But losing their quarterback is what hurt. And then Georgia, like you mentioned, they lost by 3, but they're still one of the best teams in the nation.
But so then you go off eye test, right?
Yeah,
You do the eye test, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Georgia is by far the best team.
Yeah.
Like, if Georgia's in the playoff, they win, in my opinion.
Yeah, because they'll be matched up against Washington
Yes.
at the 4.
And, I mean, like, if you're going off the best teams or you going off most deserving, right? Either way, if you go off best teams, Georgia needs to be in the playoff.
Yes.
If you go off most deserving, Florida State needs to be in the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so I think I would have been more okay with it if they had Georgia still in, and that's why we were out.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not going to argue that Georgia isn't better than us, because they won. They have a loss.
Mm-hmm.
But Georgia's one of the 4 best teams.
Yes.
And then what you do with the 4 best teams is you make all these bowl games. They don't even matter.
Yeah.
They don't mean anything.
Nothing.
And so, a lot of my players, they get on me about the Georgia game, 63-3. Like,
They rested everyone.
Nobody's playing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I mean, talk about money. Like, this game is meaningless.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I said, 4 months ago, I would have maybe been like, yeah, no, we got to be in. Like, that was crazy. There's just, I don't like that now that's like, you just wrote them off. And I know that we don't have a quarterback, but you still put them in because of the resume.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But, it became an interesting conversation topic. And
it was big.
And I think that not only should Florida State fans have been outraged, but I would have been outraged if I was a Georgia fan.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me? Like, they're obviously one of the best teams in the nation, and they left out. It's Texas, who was like not even existent at one point, and they're all of a sudden in. So, I mean, in Alabama, Texas and Alabama get knocked out.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it is what it is, but
I think one of the biggest storylines that really switched this narrative of Florida State not going in before the committee did their voting was Stephen A. on First Take talking about how we don't want a repeat of Georgia TCU. I think that A, is a very good point by him, and then B, what really stirred Florida State not getting in.
Yeah. And so here's what I argue, and this may be a biased opinion. So, no offense to TCU.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who loves TCU out there, they're a good program. But I want to ask you, do you think with that Florida State defense that everybody like, do you think Michigan puts 63 points on them?
No, absolutely not.
Exactly.
Absolutely
and
not.
So, but they do on a TCU team that doesn't play a team like Georgia. You know what I'm saying? And yes, I know people will say like, but Georgia put 63 points on y'all. Nobody played that Orange Bowl game. We didn't even have our D-line. We didn't have our linebackers. We didn't have our DBs. Like, a lot of guys got drafted this year.
Yeah.
So let's be real. We hadn't allowed over 35 points put on us all season. So you think we're just gonna lay down in the championship game?
Yeah, no.
So I mean, now will we score enough to win? That I can understand. We probably won't score a lot of points because we don't have a quarterback. But to sit there and say we don't want another TCU repeat, did you see that game? There was no TCU on the field.
Yeah.
Like, that was just Georgia.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't think we get that if Florida State's in there, especially after watching them play Louisville, where the defense had to win the game and had to give up less than 7 points. And they stepped up to the line. You don't think they'll do that in a championship environment?
100% they will, yeah.
So that's my argument. Do I think we win the whole thing? Probably not. But I think that we don't I don't think a Florida State team with an elite defense, which TCU didn't have going into that year.
Right.
I don't think we let that happen to us.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's just me. And is it a good point? Yes, because obviously one team is without their starting quarterback. Like, of course, I get it, but when you really dive into it, like that defense don't give up that many points regardless. Mm-hmm. And they're not just going to lay down for no reason. So that's my argument against that, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 100% valid argument, by the way. But no, I'm excited. Like, I've always watched college football, and like I've always watched like the SEC, the ACC championships, the national championships. But this last season, 'cause I'm a Florida fan.
Okay.
So this season, I actually watched like a majority of the Florida games.
Yeah.
I love greatness, so like I'll watch like all the Alabama games. I'll watch all the Georgia games for the most part.
He's a football fan.
So so I'm excited for this next season because now expanding to 12-team format, which I love because no one's gonna be crying about the 13th team being left out.
I genuinely agree with that. Yeah. Like, if you're the 13th team out, I mean, it is what it is at that point. Like, now 5, everybody from like 7 up is probably good enough to win the national championship.
I agree.
So, but we're talking about like 12, like 11, 12, 13.
Like, no.
You guys, yeah, I guess, but like nobody's going to be weeping, like, except that fan base. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
So let's talk about next level. I'm a big NFL guy. So are you like a fan of a specific team?
So I used to be a Bucs fan and a Patriots fan because I just love Tom Brady.
Okay.
You know, I know a lot of people like that. Like, everybody has their opinion on that, but like, I'm another guy that loves greatness. Mm-hmm. And I just grew up watching Tom Brady, and I just love the underdog story of it, and it stuck with me, and it's a reason why I love football to begin with.
Okay.
So I was just following Tom Brady. Now I have friends in the league, so you know, I'll be a fan of. I'm like a partial fan of every team.
Okay.
And like, it's weird. My relationship with NFL is like, I used to be all Tom Brady, and now since he's gone, it's like, okay, do I like just Florida teams because I'm a Florida guy? Or do I just, you know, I'm a fan of my old teammates. Like if I'm just watching the game, right, and Dalvin Cook is at running back for the Ravens, or it used to be the Vikings, and they're playing the Jets, who I don't really have. Now I do, but like, I used to not have anybody on. Yeah, I'm gonna be like, okay, let me watch this. Let me be a Vikings fan right now. Like, that's how I watch football. I watch football to watch good players make plays.
Yeah.
So I guess, like, if we were just on the street and like, who's your NFL team? I'd be like, I like Florida teams. But really, the longer answer is I just like watching ball.
Okay.
So yeah, like, I could watch any game. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So obviously, I'm a Dolphins fan.
Yeah, Dolphins guy. Yeah.
And growing up, my dad hated Brady, like hated him.
Yeah.
But like, growing up, since I played football, I hated Brady, but I was like, bro, he's just so great. Like,
yeah.
Like, out of all my friends, and they'll tell you this, I'm the most unbiased fan you will ever come across.
Cool.
Like, if my team gets cooked, I'm gonna tell you my team gets cooked.
Yeah.
If Tom Brady, if someone makes a great play, I'm getting goosebumps. I'm gonna be like, damn, like, that was a great play. And my friends will be like, oh, I'm like, bro, I don't care. Like, football is football. Like, I was born in Miami, bro. Like, you don't think I'm gonna be upset? But
bro, literally,
I can't let that stuff piss me off. Like, I love football, but Tom Brady is just absolute greatness. So since you played wide receiver, give me your Mount Rushmore top 4
wide receivers.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that I've watched, I would put my Mount Rushmore of wide receivers. I'm gonna put Randy Moss on there.
Thank you.
Randy Moss is the best receiver ever.
Thank you.
And I know a lot of old heads is gonna argue with me and be like, man, Jerry Rice. No disrespect to Jerry Rice at all, because he's one of the greatest, and he's probably on Mount Rushmore, but he's not the greatest. Randy Moss is the greatest receiver of all time. No, literally, like, Randy Moss he has a whole verb named after him.
Yes,
he has a verb. Who else has a verb? Nobody has a verb. So I mean, Randy Moss, and then, you know, I go Jerry Rice after, just for the career.
I agree.
And then after that, it gets a little bit more so like opinionated. Personally, the most talented other than Randy Moss was Megatron.
Right.
So he's got to be on there. And that 4th spot, man, I'm going to ruffle some feathers with this one.
Can I guess before you say?
Yeah, go ahead.
AB?
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
It was going to be. He'd be the 5th.
Okay.
This is, I mean, bro, like, people are probably going to be like, why did you put AB? It could easily be AB.
Okay.
I won't be mad putting AB right there. But I'd like to advocate for Tyreek Hill.
Okay, wow.
Tyreek Hill is the most explosive, most game-changing player we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say that on here.
Yeah.
Like, when you game plan for the Chiefs, when he was there, you're not game planning for Patrick Mahomes. You're not game planning for Travis Kelce. You're game planning for Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your game plan. He goes and scores even when people know
He's going to get the ball.
he's going to get the ball deep. Tyreek Hill is one of the best receivers we've ever seen play the game.
100%.
AB definitely could be right there. He's probably right there, but I just think Tyreek Hill's the most game-changing. You can't cover him man-to-man because he's going to run right by you. He's the only one that you could be 20 yards off and still run by you. So that's I'm like I said, I'm willing to ruffle feathers with that one because, and just to prove a point, I guess, is like when you say who's the best receiver in the NFL, okay, you're talking about who's the most technically sound or who's the most dangerous receiver in the NFL? Like, who do you want on your team?
Yeah, Tyreek.
It's got to be Tyreek.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Tyreek Hill, even though he's getting a little bit older, he hasn't really lost a step. And he's just, I mean, if you're game planning for the Dolphins, who are you afraid of? Tyreek.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're a Dolphins fan. He changes the game.
Yeah, he does.
You guys lost to the Chiefs in the playoffs. You know, I think you got outcoached in that game.
Mm-hmm.
But what was the bright spot in that game? Tyreek Hill just goes deep randomly and gets that touchdown to keep them in the game somewhat. Whenever you have Tyreek Hill, man, it's different. But yeah, I think Tyreek Hill is close. Do I think he's the best ever? No. I think I'm gonna go ahead and put like 2 heads on that Mount Rushmore, Tyreek Hill and AB.
Okay.
AB just because, I mean, he just made so many plays, like, and he was the most disgusting receiver 2016, 2015, 2017-ish time. I mean, like, nobody could cover him, and he was just taking the NFL by storm. So, no wrong answer right there. But Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, Megatron, and then either AB or Tyreek Hill.
So your first 3, I would agree.
Yeah.
I'd go Randy Moss because, bro, I tell people, bro, Randy Moss is the greatest receiver of all time.
Yeah.
But Jerry Rice has more yards. I'm like, bro, I don't care.
Played for 20 freaking years.
I'm like, I don't care. I'm like,
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not arguing he's not one of the greatest.
No,
Like, I'll put him top 2, but
Yeah.
Randy is the greatest wide receiver of all time.
Yes.
So I'm so glad you can agree
Yes.
with me because
Yeah.
you're an actual wide receiver.
Yeah.
I try to tell my friends, bro, people that play wide receiver know Randy's the greatest.
No, yes.
So Randy 1, Jerry 2, Calvin 3, and at 4 I got T.O.
T.O. That's another one. See, I didn't watch him play that much.
Oh, me neither.
And you know, he probably is there too. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a wrong answer.
Mm-hmm.
I go with Tyreek. It's interesting we have the same first 3.
Yeah.
And then I guess that 4th spot is like whoever you feel.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, there's no other. I don't think there's another answer other than Randy Moss. The only people that'll tell you Jerry Rice is people who are, you know, were watching for Jerry Rice during that time and are opinionated about that. But no question, Randy Moss is the greatest receiver of all time, in my opinion. Yeah.
Do you think Mahomes can catch Brady as a GOAT?
I hope not. I hope not. Does he have the opportunity to? Yes. I don't see why you would say no. So like unbiased opinion, because it's something that I do actually worry about. Like after this Super Bowl, I was like, bro, they're gonna start saying he's better and like that he's gonna catch him, and you can't say he doesn't have a chance. Patrick Mahomes is probably the most talented quarterback ever to play the game.
Him and Aaron
are probably the 2 most talented quarterbacks to play the game. I think that, and I'll probably eat these words, but I think that once Travis Kelce getting older.
Yeah.
And without Travis Kelce, can they still win? Oh, of course. It's Patrick Mahomes. Without Travis Kelce, though, like, I don't think he'll win as much. I don't think he'll have that super dynamic, like, just throw it anywhere ability with anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
As long as Patrick Mahomes is playing, he has a chance. But, I mean, he's at 3 right now. Unless I say next year, so this year I said there's no way they win, right? Like, I was like, there's no way.
Yeah, me too.
Because they don't have anybody. But then they get Rashee Rice, who was really good for them, and they just played good and their defense was good enough to win.
Great.
So, like, honestly, like, I can't tell you they're not going to win this year, even though I don't see how they can, because, the Ravens got better, but yet they beat them last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who's going to come out of the AFC? If I had to right now, I would say Ravens.
Yeah.
But, like, why wouldn't I say Chiefs, though? Because they have the same team.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. So, to answer your question, I hope not, but I can't say no. Like, Patrick Mahomes is just a year older than me. He's about to be 30 or something like that. And, I mean, Brady played until he was 45. And, I mean, if he wins the next 2 years,
he's already
at 5.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Brady has 7. And if they tie, I will say Brady's better. Why? Because they played each other in the Super Bowl.
They don't play defense, though.
Very true. But, see, and that's something that I can agree with that. It's like they don't play necessarily one-on-one, right? Like, it's really the quarterback versus the defense. But at the same point, if they tie, I got to give it to Brady. Just because, okay, what are we looking for? Patrick Mahomes more talented. Like, overall, yeah. So maybe you give it to him because of that. And then maybe another side will say, their teams played in the Super Bowl and Brady's came out on top.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but the defenses, they don't play necessarily against each other. So I guess that'll be an argument that hopefully we never have to have.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. Yeah.
And the Chiefs, I wouldn't say they got better, but they definitely got some more weapons. Drafted Xavier Worthy. They got Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
Off-field stuff going with Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
And a couple of their offensive linemen as well. But they lost L'Jarius Sneed to the Titans. So the top 4 teams I would see coming out the AFC, Chiefs, Bills still, even though they
You think so?
They had a horrible. I mean, you just can't count them out. And then the Joe Burrow, the Bengals, and then the Ravens. I think top 4.
Yeah.
I have to see how the Steelers are going to pan out now that they have Russ. I'm not a big believer in Russ, but I don't take Russ slander. So you're saying like, and I'm talking to the people. You're going to say that they downgraded? No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's a big get for them. Because they had nobody last year in
Mason
one
Rudolph,
game.
Kenny Pickett.
And won games.
Yeah.
So you're going to tell me, like, you bring in a veteran who's won games, who's won Super Bowls, who's been in multiple Super Bowls. Yeah. He's still Russ.
Yeah.
Like, that's not – and they got him for nothing.
Yeah.
So, like –
$900,000.
Like, are you kidding me? Like, the Steelers are going to be better.
Yes.
Steelers are going to be better, and I think the Steelers can win some games. Especially if Russ has any type of chemistry with the receivers, two talented receivers they have, and Pickens and Johnson's not there anymore.
Yeah, he left.
Yeah, where did he go?
I don't know where he went.
I think he went to. I'm probably wrong. I want to say he went to Tennessee.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I think he went to Tennessee. I'm trying to think. No, he went to Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah. So never mind. They got Pickens and whoever.
Freiermuth, their tight end.
I mean, they're really always – the Steelers are always based on defense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Russ is going to hand the ball off most of the time and then play action. And I think they'll be better. You know what I'm saying? And they'll probably put in a package for Justin Fields. But if you were to ask me who's coming out the AFC, I think you guys are good. You don't think so?
Tua. I'm not a Tua believer.
I hear you.
I'm not.
I think you guys have such a talented supporting cast though that it makes it. You guys will make the playoffs. I think.
I just
Jets
think
are dangerous though.
I know, and that's exactly what I was about to say.
Jets are dangerous.
I don't know because let's just list those 4 teams. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Chiefs. Let's say Bengals, Steelers. That's 3.
Yeah.
Then we'll go Ravens for sure. That's 4.
Yeah.
So then now you got the Jets.
The Jets.
I think they make the playoffs. That's
Bro.
5. The Bills are always in the playoffs the last couple of years. That's 6.
And then y'all.
So who else? You got Texans.
You got the
division
Texans
winner.
who are good.
Right.
Yes, and they're going to get better. They got Diggs.
That's 7.
You're right.
That's 7.
You're right. They're all in the AFC. I mean, shit. Shoot.
No, you're good.
Yeah, like that's a good point, man.
That's 7.
Because I forgot about the Texans.
Yeah.
They got Diggs. They just got better. Yeah, man. It's hard. It's tough. Here's the thing. The only thing I say that I disagree is, I don't know how the Bills are going to be good.
I can.
Like,
that's fair.
they have nobody.
That's fair.
They have a great quarterback. They have a decent defense.
Well, they just got your boy.
Keon.
Yeah.
Keon, who is really talented, but one guy can't do it. And they don't have Gabe Davis. They don't even have their number 2. Shakir's good. He's a speedy guy. They have decent running backs.
Didn't they get Curtis Samuel?
Did they? If they did, I mean, they probably have somebody. But I just I think the Bills are a cursed franchise, man.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
I think they'll make it if they make the playoffs, but they ain't beating the Chiefs. Like, I just don't think like the football gods will let it happen. But I don't ever see Josh Allen win a Super Bowl, man. To be real with you,
That's sad, man.
it's sad, but
not saying your statement is
yeah.
Not to say I disagree.
No,
because
yeah.
he's so great.
Yes, he's so good. I think they were poised to win it the year that they, the overtime game. Like, I think they were so good that year.
Yeah.
And if they were going to win it, they should have won it that year. But I don't think the Ravens might have lost a few pieces on defense, but I think the Ravens offense is going to be the best rushing offense in the league with Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, and guess who's sitting behind Derrick Henry?
They got I don't know who.
Dalvin Cook.
That's right. Yeah.
So if granted those are 2 older-ish running backs, I just think their offense is going to be just as good. And if you asked me who's going to win MVP next year, I think Lamar Jackson is going to win it again. Mm-hmm. That's just me, though. But, yeah, man, that's interesting points, though. I didn't think that how many good AFC teams are going to be.
Yeah. To give you an explanation on Tua. So,
yeah,
if you didn't know, so I played quarterback in high school.
Okay.
Never played at the next level. Got recruited, but it was too much work for me. And
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
got you.
I don't want to do that. But anyways, so when I watched the Dolphins games, I analyzed being the quarterback that I was.
Absolutely.
Right. So I'm always analyzing, looking at his reads.
Yeah.
Is he throwing on his first drop?
Yeah.
Or on his first back step? Is he hitching? What is he doing? What defense? Right.
Yeah.
All that stuff is going through my head.
Yeah.
Right. I think again, this is just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think he relies too much on his first option, that once he goes to a second option, he's like,
Yeah.
and stutters. And this is a crap opinion. I don't believe in left-handed quarterbacks. And I think that is a horrible opinion, but it has been my opinion for years, and I stand on that.
Yeah.
But in terms of also a deep ball, I haven't played football in 6 years. I could work out for 2 weeks and throw the ball as far as Tua, which is 55 yards. I've never seen him throw a 60-yard ball. So he doesn't step into the ball when he throws deep, and I'm like, this guy has a noodle arm. Now you need him. You need him to fit it in a tight window, 30 yards or under. He'll do it.
Yeah.
But the deep ball is where I also question him. But not to say he can't read a defense because he's in the NFL. He's a starter.
Yeah.
I'm just very critical of Tua. A, I'm a Dolphins fan, and B, I think my insight is also different. But also another stat: when the Dolphins played a top 10 defense at the time that they were a top 10 defense last year, the Dolphins had Damn, I can't
Yeah,
look it up.
something like
They had a losing record,
yeah.
and Tua threw 10 touchdowns and 11 interceptions.
Wow.
When they played a defense not in the top 10, he had 18 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and a perfect 8-0 record.
Yeah.
So you tell me, like,
Yeah.
where, like, something's not adding up.
Yeah.
And I think it's Tua. So,
I think so. So I remember hearing that because I thought around playoff time last year, I was like, man, the Dolphins are dangerous just because of who they got. And, they play good against the bad teams. And then right when it's time to play a good team, it's like all heck breaks loose. And so I can't even say anything to defend him right there because it's true. Like whenever Tua is faced with a defense that's good, or it's time for Tua to step up, like in that Chiefs game, I mean, they couldn't even move the ball. And so it's like, I feel like when Tua is when things are easy, he's able to do that stuff. Do I think Tua is good enough to lead them to a Super Bowl? No. I don't think Tua is that guy. I think that eventually, which sooner rather than later, because, granted, everybody else but Tyreek Hill is in their primes. I mean, Tyreek Hill is too, but Tyreek Hill probably has like 2 or 3 more years. I think you guys if you guys can't get over that like divisional hump this year, like if Tua gets you to the semi final, maybe you keep him. But if you can't get over that divisional hump and beat the good teams this year and like actually really make a run, man, I think you got to go with some other option or try something else. Like, not necessarily a rookie, but like, I don't even know.
I wanted Kirk, man.
Yeah, I was about to say
I
somebody
wanted
like
Kirk
Kirk.
so bad, bro. You have no idea.
Yes. No, Kirk, he could get it done. It's crazy, man. Like I think it's like that quarterback position is just it's so hard to hit on that. Like think about how blessed the Chiefs are. Like, they went from Alex Smith, who was a very serviceable, very good quarterback, first round, first overall, and then got the most talented quarterback ever.
Yeah.
I feel like most people knew that Mahomes was a steal. Like, when he was in that mid round, because you heard so much about him at Texas Tech, and it was like, oh, Mahomes is gonna, he threw for like 700 yards in one game and
against
stuff
Baker.
like that. Yeah, with Baker, and so I just think that it's just hard to hit that way. But like Tua, when I watch him play, I think he delivers the ball to his playmakers, but at the end of the day, I don't know if Tua's the guy to get it done all the way through. Like I think somebody like Lamar Jackson is somebody who can push past that hump and like at least get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think Jared Goff is good enough to win a Super Bowl.
I agree.
I think that he was right there. I mean, Brock Purdy, as his limitations or whatever, I think he almost won an MVP this year. I think if you can get your team to the Super Bowl, you can win it. I think those are guys that can lead your team to a Super Bowl. Matt Stafford with the Rams. But then you got guys like that are talented but will never win you a Super Bowl, like Kyler Murray. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion.
Yeah,
least.
I agree.
Kyler Murray's who's another one? I mean,
Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. You know what I'm saying? Like Trevor is talented as all heck, but like, he hasn't really done as much as like people are not giving him, like people are not talking about this.
Yeah.
And it's like they made the playoffs and got knocked out, you know what I'm saying? But like other than that, I mean, this year, like they had a good team on paper before the season. I think CJ Stroud is still young. He can still probably get them there.
I believe he can
like,
too.
CJ Stroud's good, and so we'll see, man. Yeah, like we'll see what happens. I do agree with you though. I don't think Tua is the guy either.
Yeah, I'm excited for the NFL. One thing is Aaron Rodgers. Like I said, I'm a greatness before anything, and I've said it multiple times. I was more excited to watch the Jets and Bills game than I was to watch the Dolphins game.
That's interesting.
And he got hurt in the first 4 plays, bro. I had my pizza rolls. I was kicked up on the sofa.
Like, wow.
And he got hurt. Bro, I was so pissed off.
Wow.
I was so pissed off. But he's healthy, and just kind of see how that pans out.
I think the Jets, at least like if you just take it for what it is right now. First of all, I want to say that I don't agree with their draft decision. They're in win now mode. They should have picked Brock Bowers.
Oh yeah, he went to what, Las Vegas?
He went to Las Vegas and he was there on the board.
Yeah,
they went tackle, which isn't a bad move.
Their line was
they're god awful, but like Brock Bowers is like one of the most talented tight ends to come out in a while. So I'm interested in why they didn't pick Bowers. But I mean, you talk about you got one of the top defenses in the NFL, and you got one of the best quarterbacks of all time, and a pretty young receiving core and a really good running back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to win games.
Yeah.
So I think the Jets are going to be good. Like, I think the Jets are going to be good enough that division that the Dolphins are in, like, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough with the Bills and then the Jets. Like, you got to – that division is going to be tough. I mean, the Patriots are going to have a rough year.
Yeah.
The Patriots are going to have a rough year with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's all I had. Is there anything you wanted to add or anything?
No, man. I just want to thank you for having me on here. I love talking about the sports, man. I could talk about this for hours.
Me too, bro.
This is awesome. I appreciate this.
Absolutely.
It's great, man.
And like I said multiple times, thank you for coming on. Thank you for taking time out of your day and doing this. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
You want to plug anything in comments below?
Yeah, man. Just show him some love, man. This is awesome. This setup is awesome. This format is good, man. Just show him some love. If you have any kids that need training, just hit me up. Barulich Performance on Instagram. Especially with the summer coming up, I would love to work with anybody who wants training, who wants to work on their game, especially football, but any sport really. But I appreciate you giving me a platform to do that. And but at the end of the day, man, show them some love in the comments, and I'll blast this on social media too.
Appreciate it.
Hopefully we could get this to go viral, man.
All his stuff will be in the comments below. Like I'll link everything for you.
Appreciate you, man.
Gotta do it, but
thank you.
But yeah, thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. We had an awesome episode. I think we talked some really good stuff. This has been, oh my god, 2 hours 10 minutes.
2 hours.
This is by far the longest episode.
Good.
So oh my god, it didn't even feel like 2 hours, did it?
No, it was just a conversation, man. That's
exactly,
awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I forgot how to outro my videos, but hopefully y'all enjoyed, and I'll see y'all next video. Peace. All right.
Appreciate you, man. That was fun, dog. That was good. 2 hours, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Hey.